What if the world's most secretive institutions accidentally confirmed the greatest spiritual truth ever taught? What if documents once hidden from the public revealed that consciousness is not limited, not passive, not trapped inside the body, but creative? For years, manifestation was dismissed as imagination. Assumption was called fantasy. The unseen was labeled irrational. And yet, when intelligence agencies began studying consciousness, intention, and the projection of awareness beyond space and time, they arrived at a shocking realization. The mind influences reality, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. This is not about conspiracy. This is not about mystery. This is about law. There is a principle operating beneath every event in your life, a silent law that does not need belief to function. It responds to state. It responds to assumption. It responds to what you accept as true within. And once you understand this, you will never see your life the same way again, because you will realize something extraordinary. You are not experiencing a fixed world. You are experiencing a reflected one. There is only one cause behind every event in your life, and it is not circumstance, not coincidence, not other people, and not the economy. It is consciousness, not the body, not the brain, but awareness itself, the silent sense of being that says, I am. That awareness is the root of all experience. Everything you see, touch, hear, and react to is an effect. It is the surface expression of something deeper. And that deeper reality is the state of consciousness you are occupying. Most people live as though the outer world is the source. They believe events happen first, and then they respond. They believe circumstances determine feelings. They believe facts create identity. But this is the inversion of truth. The outer world is not initiating anything. It is responding. It is mirroring. It is reflecting the assumptions you have accepted within yourself, consciously or unconsciously. Consciousness does not merely observe reality. It shapes it. It selects from infinite possibilities and calls one into form. Every state you enter is like tuning a frequency. When you tune to doubt, you experience evidence of doubt. When you tune to confidence, you encounter confirmation of confidence. When you tune to lack, you see limitation. When you tune to fulfillment, opportunities unfold. The state comes first, the event follows. You may not always see the connection immediately because there can be a delay between assumption and visible result. But the delay does not cancel the law. A seed planted in the soil does not erupt the same day, yet it grows invisibly beneath the surface. In the same way, every sustained assumption takes root in consciousness before it appears in physical form. The unseen movement precedes the seen manifestation. Think of your life as a mirror. The mirror has no power of its own. It cannot smile unless you smile first. It cannot frown unless you frown first. It cannot change independently of the one standing before it. In the same way, the world cannot change independently of the consciousness perceiving it. If you want a different reflection, you must change the face, not argue with the mirror. This is why effort alone does not create transformation. Action taken from fear produces more fear. Action taken from doubt reinforces doubt. But action taken from certainty carries a different quality. The difference is not in the movement itself. It is in the state behind the movement. Consciousness qualifies every action. It is the unseen motive power that determines outcome. When you understand that consciousness is the only cause, blame dissolves. You no longer search for external enemies or external saviors. You no longer wait for the world to align before you feel secure. You realize that alignment begins within. If you desire respect, occupy the state of being respected. If you desire abundance, occupy the state of being provided for. If you desire love, occupy the state of being cherished. The state must be assumed internally before it can be confirmed externally. This does not mean ignoring physical reality out of denial. It means recognizing that physical reality is secondary. It is the echo, not the voice. It is the shadow, not the substance. The substance is awareness itself. And awareness can choose. Right now, you are wearing a state. Perhaps it is a state of striving. Perhaps it is a state of waiting. Perhaps it is a state of frustration. But you are not confined to it. You can withdraw from one state and enter another. You can decide to feel differently before evidence appears. You can accept internally what you desire externally. And once that acceptance stabilizes, the world must rearrange to reflect it. Consciousness is not reacting to life. Life is reacting to consciousness. When this becomes clear, everything changes. You stop fighting effects and begin adjusting causes. You stop chasing outcomes and begin selecting states. You realize that the creative power you sought in the world has always been seated quietly within you. And when you deliberately choose your state and persist in it, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become the cause. Every visible fact in your life began as an invisible assumption. Before it was an event, it was an idea. Before it became a circumstance, it was a conviction. Before it appeared in your hands, it lived quietly in your consciousness. This is the law. What you assume to be true and persist in eventually solidifies into experience. An assumption is not merely a passing thought. It is not a fleeting wish or a hopeful sentence repeated without feeling. An assumption is something you accept as real within yourself. It is a state you agree to occupy. It is a position you mentally move into and call natural. And once something feels natural to you, it begins arranging your world accordingly. Most people assume unconsciously. They assume they are unlucky. They assume things take time. They assume success is difficult. They assume love is complicated. These assumptions are rarely spoken aloud with authority, yet they operate continuously in the background. They form expectations. They shape reactions. They filter perception. And because they are repeated, they harden. Life does not respond to what you occasionally affirm. It responds to what you consistently accept. If deep down you assume you are overlooked, you will notice every instance of being ignored. If you assume opportunities pass you by, you will miss the very openings you claim do not exist. If you assume you are supported, guided, and favored, your perception shifts, and suddenly evidence begins to appear everywhere. The world has not changed independently. Your assumption has selected a different version of it. Assumption is the mold. Reality is the cast. This is why persistence matters. A single assumption, briefly entertained and then doubted, lacks stability. But when you return to a state again and again, when you feel it as real, when you dwell in it, when you think from it rather than about it, it begins to crystallize. It gathers momentum. It moves from imagination into expression. Think of water slowly freezing into ice. At first, nothing seems to happen. The surface looks the same. But beneath that stillness, molecules are rearranging. Structure is forming. And suddenly what was fluid becomes solid. In the same way, what you consistently assumed gradually organizes into fact. It may not be immediate, but it is inevitable if maintained. The key is not forcing belief. It is entering the state of fulfillment so completely that it feels ordinary, not dramatic, not exaggerated, natural. When you assume something with calm certainty, it impresses itself more deeply than when you strain to convince yourself. The quieter the knowing, the stronger the foundation. Do not mistake current appearances as permanent truths. They are simply past assumptions made visible. If you do not like what you see, do not wrestle with it. Do not argue with it. Change the assumption behind it. Withdraw your agreement from what no longer serves you and consciously accept what you prefer instead. Assume you are chosen. Assume you are capable. Assume things are working in your favor. Assume the desire is already secured. Then persist, not with tension, but with steady inner agreement. Facts are not final. They are fluid. They reflect the dominant assumption you carry. When a new assumption becomes stronger than the old one, the facts must shift. Doors open where walls once stood. Conversations change tone. Opportunities appear where none seemed available. This is not coincidence. It is correspondence. You are always assuming something. The only question is whether you are assuming deliberately or accidentally. Once you recognize that assumption hardens into fact, you become careful and powerful. You begin selecting states consciously. You stop rehearsing fear. You stop feeding doubt. You choose the version of reality you are willing to experience, and you dwell there internally until it feels like home. And when it feels like home, the world builds the house around it. Assume wisely. Persist gently. And watch how quickly the invisible becomes undeniable. The world you experience is not an independent force moving at random. It is an echo. It is a response. It is a living reflection of the state you are occupying within yourself. Just as a valley returns the sound you send into it, life returns the emotional tone, the conviction, and the identity you project through your consciousness. A state is more than a mood. It is more than a temporary feeling. A state is the total sum of what you believe yourself to be in this moment. It is the lens through which you interpret events. It is the inner atmosphere you carry with you into every room, every conversation, every decision. And that atmosphere silently influences what unfolds around you. If you walk into the world feeling undervalued, the world will subtly confirm it. You will notice dismissive tones. You will interpret neutral expressions as rejection. You will unconsciously behave in ways that reinforce that identity, not because the world is against you, but because the state you are wearing filters perception and shapes reaction. But change the state, and the reflection changes. Enter a room assuming you are respected, and your posture shifts. Your voice steadies. Your eyes hold contact. People respond differently, not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. The state moved first. The world echoed second. This is the law in operation. You do not attract what you want. You reflect what you are. The state you occupy determines the version of reality you experience. If you dwell in insecurity, you will see instability. If you dwell in expectation, you will encounter opportunity. If you dwell in gratitude, you will find abundance. The outer world organizes itself around the inner position you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously. Most people try to change circumstances while remaining in the same state. They attempt to fix the reflection without adjusting the source. They try to control outcomes while still feeling powerless. They attempt to force success while still identifying as inadequate. But the world cannot echo a state you refuse to enter. If you desire change, change your state first. This does not mean pretending. It does not mean ignoring reality blindly. It means shifting your internal identity before external evidence appears. It means asking yourself, who would I be if this were already resolved? And then inhabiting that version of yourself now. How would you think? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? How would you interpret delays? When you adopt that state, even subtly reality begins adjusting to match it. Conversations take unexpected turns. Ideas arise. Coincidences align. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open. It feels almost mysterious, but it is not. It is the natural echo of a changed state. The world is not resisting you. It is responding to you. This is why two people can stand in the same environment and experience completely different realities. One sees limitation, the other sees possibility. One feels rejected, the other feels refined. The environment is the same. The states are different, and the echo corresponds accordingly. You must become aware of the state you are dwelling in most often. Is it waiting? Is it striving? Is it doubting? Or is it knowing? Is it fulfilled? Is it secure? Is it certain? Whatever it is, that state is shaping the events of your life right now. You are not stuck. You are simply consistent. And consistency is power, whether applied deliberately or unconsciously. Choose the state of the version of you who already has what you desire. Feel its naturalness. Let it settle into you. Do not force it with tension. Allow it with quiet conviction. Persist in it even when the outer world appears unchanged. The echo may take a moment to return, but it must return. because the world cannot help but mirror the state you occupy. Change the state, and the echo will change, always. One of the greatest mistakes you can make on this journey is constantly checking the outer world for confirmation. The moment you plant a new assumption, you look at circumstances and ask, is it working yet? You glance at your phone, you check the bank account, you analyze someone's tone, you scan for signs, and in doing so, you shift your attention back to the shadow instead of the source. The outer world is the shadow. A shadow does not move on its own. It cannot change independently of the object casting it. Yet most people attempt to manipulate the shadow while leaving the object untouched. They argue with appearances. They fear temporary delays. They interpret silence as failure. But the shadow is only reporting past light. It is not announcing the future. When you assume something new, there is often a gap before visible change. In that gap, faith is tested. Not blind faith, but disciplined awareness. The discipline to remain in the chosen state without demanding immediate proof. The discipline to trust that what has been accepted internally is already set in motion. Checking reality repeatedly sends a message of doubt. It says, I do not believe it is done. And because the world echoes your state, that doubt prolongs the very thing you wish to change. You cannot assume fulfillment while simultaneously searching for evidence of lack. You cannot occupy certainty while monitoring for failure. The moment you check the shadow, you leave the state. Instead, turn inward. If you feel anxious, adjust the state. If you feel impatient, return to fulfillment. If you feel uncertain, remind yourself of the decision you have already made within. The power is not in observing what is, it is in choosing what will be. Think of planting a seed in fertile soil. After planting it, you do not dig it up every morning to see if it has sprouted. That action would only disturb the process. You plant it, water it, and trust the unseen growth taking place beneath the surface. In the same way, once you assume the end, allow it to unfold without constant interference. The world rearranges quietly. Conversations shift behind the scenes. Paths cross without your awareness. Events line up beyond your sight. Much of the movement happens invisibly before it becomes visible. If you judge the process by current appearances, you interrupt your own peace. Peace is a sign of alignment. When you stop checking the shadow, you relax into the knowing that the cause has already been set. You no longer react to temporary contradictions. You understand that present circumstances are echoes of old states. They are fading reflections, not permanent realities. Your responsibility is not to fix the echo. Your responsibility is to maintain the new state. If you desire reconciliation, feel reconciled now. If you desire abundance, feel supported now. If you desire success, feel accomplished now. And when the mind urges you to look for proof, gently return to the inner decision. Remind yourself that the law operates whether you see it or not. Movement is occurring whether you witness it or not. The shadow always lags behind the object. Always. When you understand this, you stop panicking at appearances. You stop measuring progress by visible evidence. You measure alignment by how natural the fulfilled state feels within you. The less you check, the faster peace settles. The faster peace settles, the stronger the state becomes. The stronger the state becomes, the clearer the reflection. Do not chase the shadow. Stand in the light and let the shadow follow. There is a moment after you assume something new when enthusiasm fades and the old world still looks the same. This is the moment most people surrender. Not because the law failed, but because they did not persist. They entered a new state briefly, tasted it, and then returned to familiar doubt the moment external evidence did not immediately appear. Persistence is power, not force, not struggle, not emotional intensity. Persistence is the quiet refusal to abandon the state you have chosen. It is the steady decision to remain faithful to an inner conviction, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. Every state competes for your attention. The old story will attempt to pull you back. It will remind you of past failures. It will present temporary contradictions. It will whisper, "See, nothing has changed." But nothing has changed yet because persistence has not been maintained long enough to solidify the new assumption. A state must become dominant before it becomes visible. When you persist in a chosen identity, it begins to feel natural. And when something feels natural, it no longer requires effort. At first, assuming abundance when you see lack may feel artificial. Assuming confidence when you have felt insecure may feel unfamiliar. But persistence transforms the unfamiliar into the normal. Repetition is not for convincing the world. It is for stabilizing yourself. Each time doubt appears and you return to certainty, you strengthen the new state. Each time fear arises and you choose fulfillment instead, you loosen the grip of the old assumption. Persistence is not about never experiencing doubt. It is about not dwelling there. The world does not test you to punish you. It reflects what is dominant. If doubt dominates, doubt manifests. If certainty dominates, certainty manifests. Your task is not to fight reality, but to remain in alignment with your chosen state long enough for it to become dominant. Think of it as carving a new path through a forest. The first time you walk it, resistance is strong. Branches block the way. The ground is uneven. But if you walk that same path daily, it becomes clear. The old path grows over. The new path becomes the natural route. Persistence clears the way. Many abandon their desire because they mistake delay for denial. They assume that because results are not immediate, they are impossible. But time is not a measure of truth. It is simply the unfolding of unseen rearrangements. What matters is not how quickly something appears, but whether you remained in the state long enough for it to appear at all. The outer world may present temporary contradictions. Let it. Do not argue. Do not react. Do not adjust your state to match appearances. Adjust appearances by maintaining your state. If you have assumed you are successful, persist as that version of yourself. If you have assumed you are loved, persist as someone secure. If you have assumed the problem is resolved, persist in relief. Persistence does not shout. It does not strain. It simply refuses to move backward. The moment the new state feels more natural than the old one, the shift is inevitable. At that point, manifestation is no longer something you are trying to create. It is something you are allowing to surface. Power does not belong to the one who starts with intensity. It belongs to the one who continues with steadiness. Remain in the state. Return to it when distracted. Rest in it when tempted to react. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is loyalty to your inner decision. And when you remain loyal long enough, reality has no choice but to conform. Because the state you persist in becomes the life you live. The proof was never outside of you. The documents may validate it. Research may analyze it. Institutions may study it. But the real evidence has always been your own experience. Every time you expected something to go wrong, it did. Every time you deeply knew something would work, it worked. Every time you assumed you were overlooked, the world overlooked you. Every time you assumed you were chosen, doors opened. This is not coincidence. This is correspondence. Life is not happening randomly. It is responding lawfully. So the question is no longer, does this work? The question is, what am I assuming right now? If consciousness creates, then choose consciously. If assumption manifests, then assume boldly. If the world reflects, then reflect something magnificent. Withdraw your attention from doubt. Withdraw your energy from fear. Enter the state of fulfillment. Persist there. And watch the world reorganize itself to match your inner decision. You are not waiting for proof. You are the proof. If this message resonated with you, take a moment right now to internalize it. Don't just hear it, assume it. Let this be the moment you stop reacting and start creating. If you're ready to master your inner world and watch your outer world transform, subscribe and join this journey. There is far more to uncover and far more power within you than you've been taught to believe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing awareness. And remember, the world does not move first. You do.